Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension Presents. So back in the day, in the 1960s, Pope Paul VI, who was the Pope at the time, he wrote a document called Evangelization in the Modern World. And one of the things he said was the test, oftentimes, of whether a person has been evangelized. So whether I've encountered Jesus, whether I let him change my life, I'm following him as a disciple, one of the tests of whether or not a person has been evangelized is whether or not they're willing to evangelize. Am I telling other people about Christ? You know, he went on to say that mission, that mission of evangelization is, he says, the very heart of the church. It's her identity. And yet, as Catholics, we're not really necessarily known for having spiritual conversations. As Catholics, we're not really known for evangelizing. And I get it, because it can be tough, it can be intimidating. And some people will say, well, I can't evangelize because I'm kind of shy. In fact, there's a number of people who have written to me and said, Father, like, I know I'm supposed to evangelize, but I'm just shy. That's fine. That does not disqualify you from being an evangelist for many, many reasons. Here's one of them. The best evangelists aren't necessarily the ones who are the center of attention or the life of the party. The church needs people who are quiet and reserved and thoughtful and calm and peaceful and attentive to others to share the gospel. I mean, think about it. Just because someone is loud, because they're aggressive, because they're bold, doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to be at all interested in the other person. They could just be bold and loud and aggressive because they want to be the center of attention. I think that whole idea of like, well, I'm shy, I can't evangelize, that's a smokescreen. Because I would say this, you might not know this. If you were to say, Father Mike, well, how about you? Are you shy or are you outgoing? Are you timid, reserved, or are you confident? I would confidently say that I am more reserved. Because I am. I'm kind of more along the kind of the shy spectrum of things. Because of that, I know that sometimes I will use shyness as an excuse to not evangelize. Why? I care more about my comfort and my comfort zone than I care about the other person. Now you might say, well, I'm shy and that's not me. That's not my problem at all. Like, I'm shy and really just shy for other reasons. That's fine. And please I'm not trying to like cast that on you, project that on you. I'm saying there can be times in a person's life that my claim that I'm shy, I can't evangelize, doesn't mean I'm shy. It just means in this moment, I care more about my comfort than I care about the other person. I don't want to get in a situation where I don't know the answer. I don't want to get in a situation where I feel uncomfortable. I don't want to get in a situation where I do the wrong thing and look stupid. And so I'm going to say, I'm just kind of shy. No, I just don't love that much. Now, again, that might not be you, but that's me an awful lot. Now, again, that doesn't mean forcing myself in. In fact, I think that's a really bad way to do it, to force yourself into a conversation. But instead, do this. Pray for the open door, and then look for the open door. Say, okay, God, if you want me to share the gospel with this person, you want me to talk with this person about you, or even just ask them where you are in their life, open the door. And if God doesn't open the door, then you just keep walking. But if he does open the door, you're ready because you've said, God, I give you permission to open the door to this conversation. Now, here's the next thing. Sometimes people say, well, just go up and talk to strangers about Jesus? No. Chances are, the Lord isn't calling you to talk to strangers about him. Chances are really, really, really good that he may be inviting you to talk to your friends, to your family members, to the people in your life about where he is in their lives. There's a great book, Forming Intentional Disciples, that talks about the fact that in our church walls, the vast majority of people in our church walls have not been evangelized. They're not committed disciples to Jesus. Talk to the person sitting next to you. And it doesn't mean you have to convince them of something. All it means is you get to have a conversation about, if the door opens, where's God in your life? St. Andrew is called the first of the apostles. Why? Because he introduced Peter to Jesus. He's the first person that we get, really, who in the Gospels, who says, hey, I'm going to introduce my friends, or my brother in this case, to Jesus. He doesn't say, okay, Peter, okay, here's the argument. I believe I found the Messiah, and here's why I think he's the Messiah. He says, I think we found the Messiah. Let me take you to him. We don't have to have all these arguments. We don't have to convince them or anything. Bring them to adoration. If someone has an open heart, if someone is in openness, has an openness of trust, curiosity even, to bring them into the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, could do maybe 1,000 things more than just an argument or rationale for why he should be the Lord of their life. In fact, there was a man who's another brother priest. He was in seminary with me. Before he was in the seminary, he was a mailman. And don't know how he found himself in an adoration chapel one day, but someone, like a friend, said, hey, let's go into this room over here. And he had no idea what was going on. Time out. You should prep the person you're bringing to adoration at least a little bit. Time off. And he went in and he knelt down, sat down, and all of a sudden he just started sobbing. He said, I couldn't even look up. I couldn't even look at Jesus in the Eucharist. I just sobbed there because I know that I'm in front of God who's good and he's love and he's beauty and he's truth, and I haven't been living those ways. That encounter with Jesus, because someone was his Andrew, right? I think I found the Lord and brought him to him, made him a Christian, a Catholic, now a priest serving in a diocese in the metro area in Minnesota here. It's just phenomenal. Be an Andrew. I'm going to let Jesus be Jesus. When I bring people to Jesus, I'll let Jesus be Jesus. But I'm going to be Andrew. And that's the key, is I'm not really outgoing. Okay, fine. Just be you. Well, I'm super outgoing. Great. Just be you. You don't have to be in a massive social situation. Who is the person in your life you could have a spiritual conversation about Jesus with? Because maybe that one person, and you're just introducing them to Jesus and letting Jesus be Jesus, will change their life. And maybe they'll be the person who's outgoing and can go out and tell everybody about him. I think about this. My dad, I've invited people to go to Mass with me for the last 30 years or longer. He said not one person has ever taken me up on that offer. But I said, Dad, you invited me to Mass. The invitation was more like a command. But you invited me to Mass and my siblings. And it was actually, I remember it was really significant for me. My dad read at Mass for a little while. It was so powerful for me to look up in Mass and see my dad up there reading the Word of God. It didn't change my life immediately, but I just think, that is amazing. And because he invited me to Mass. You know, I get emails all the time. People who say, I saw your video, listened to your podcast on iTunes, and I started going to Mass. So maybe no one said yes to my dad's invitation to go to Mass. But because of my dad, there's a heck of a lot of people who are now going to Mass. Let Jesus be Jesus. Let you be you. And just begin, if you haven't already started, to care about other people more than you care about your comfort. This is my decision. I have to do that too. You be you. And let Jesus work through you. That's the whole thing. Is to let Jesus work through you. For all of us here at Ascension Presents, my name is Father Mike. God bless.